How long can I just sit here staring at the camera before I come up with something to talk about? Welcome to this week's episode of Car Confessions. What did I say? Welcome to this week's episode of Car Confessions. Welcome to this week's episode of Car Confessions, the web series where I sit in my car and talk about utter nonsense, and for some reason you're still watching. Today's episode is going to be talking about coordination, flexibility, and or balance. The three things I hear from people the most as to reasons why they cannot do a certain type of exercise class or whatever. So everybody knows about cardio, strength, and flexibility, things that you need to train in order to develop. So this is for all those people who say that they can't do Zumba or any other coordination-based activity because they don't have very good coordination. This is for the people who cannot go to yoga because they are not flexible. This is for the people who have no balance, so they can't go to yoga or whatever. This is for you. For you. You don't say, I can't start a strength training routine because I'm not strong enough. You start a strength training routine because you want to improve your strength. How does it make sense to say that you can't participate in a certain physical activity that requires coordination because you don't have coordination? You go to that activity to develop your coordination. You don't say you can't go to yoga because you're not flexible. You go to yoga to become flexible. Not necessarily. I mean, there's lots of different types of yoga, but that's just one example. Granted, there are people who are naturally more coordinated than other people. There's also people who gain muscle a whole lot faster than other people. That doesn't mean that the people who find it more challenging to gain muscle shouldn't try. Doesn't mean that if coordination is a bit of an issue for you, you don't even bother. It means that you have to work a little bit harder and the payoff will be that much more. When you're younger, it might not seem like that big of a deal, but as we get older, coordination is huge. That doesn't mean you have to go out and join Zumba or I can't even think of any other examples right at the moment, but it means that you should be trying to challenge your brain physically while you are moving. I do this in my older adult classes. I do this in all of my classes, whether people realize doing it or not. My older adult gals, they know because I tell them constantly. You need to practice these things. Coordination doesn't just come about on its own. And I will admit, there is a small portion of the population whose coordination is just in the toilet. If after 10 classes you cannot step, touch, and time with me, you may have a bit of a problem. And the literally thousands of people I have taught, I can think of 3 people whose coordination never really improved. Most of the people who say I have no coordination and I can't do whatever, you are not falling into that category. If 3 out of thousands were truly hopeless, and I'm sorry, there were a couple hopeless people. If you think you know who it is, chances are you do not. And I will never, ever tell you. Very, very few people truly are uncoordinated. It's the same as anything else. Your biceps are not going to get stronger unless you train them. Your coordination is never going to get better unless you work on it. Your balance is never going to get better unless you work on it. And that is another huge one that people may not think about until it's too late. So being able to shift your weight, being able to stand on one foot for a few seconds even makes such a difference long term. Don't let these things be your excuse as to why you can't participate in something. If you have an actual medical or physical problem that is preventing you from being able to balance, that is a different situation. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the people who simply do not practice or do not participate in activities that require balance, and so they don't train it, so their balance never gets better. For your own health, you need to focus not just on your cardiovascular health, your muscular health, your flexibility. You need to think about coordination and balance. A well-rounded program is going to hit all of those things, but it's something that you need to actually actively seek out. If you feel uncoordinated, that is even more reason to get involved with something that challenges your coordination. You want to challenge your body in a way that the movements, your brain has to figure out how to make these movements happen. It's super, super important. So you got to stop just saying I'm uncoordinated or I don't have any balance or I'm not very flexible. If those things are true for you, you need to work on it. You need to work on it. That is it for this week's episode. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe, like, comment, and share. If you're on Facebook, you can like, comment, share, all that good stuff, and I will talk to you next week. See you later. I am... This is a disaster. What is going on here? Oh my goodness.